You are aware that since this impasse started, where Labour issued a 14 days notice to try to ensure that the tripartite committee is reconvened and complete its assignment, arising from the fact that the meeting of the tripartite committee was adjourned sine die. The minister for the first time called us to try to update us on what they are trying to do to make sure that this demand is met. And clearly speaking, he tried to also, because this is the first meeting we are having any information about what we have demanded for, also updating us on what they have been doing behind the scene. And from that discussion, clearly, because you are aware we are here in a representative capacity because the meeting also had to come up in an emergency situation, we are taking back this information to brief our rank and file about what the issues are. But our minimum demand is that the meeting of the tripartite committee should be reconvened without any delay to complete its assignment. And until that is met, the position we have taken remains same.
His position was corroborated by other Labour activists.
We were members of the tripartite committee, and they were called on that level, not on the leadership, organized leadership Labour level, to discuss on the way forward. Well, like the NLC president said, we've gotten information on what government is doing, of which they will communicate back to us on the likely date, that is, to reconvene the tripartite meeting. Until that is done, the organized labor's position on the issues of strike action remains.
The government team do not appear bothered by the warning strike. Labour Minister, however, said actual negotiation on new minimum wage will begin on October 4th.
I don't want to put in October because I'm not part of the National Assembly. National Assembly will work on it. They will do what is called first reading, they will do second reading, they will do third reading. And even before they do third reading, they might need to do a public hearing because of the tripartite nature of this particular aspect of wages.
And when asked whether he has the power to agree a figure, he has this to say.
We are resuming next week. Next week, precisely, we are resuming on Thursday, the 4th. And the meeting can spill over until the 5th. We normally use 2 days for the meeting. So we are reconvening the meeting on the 4th.
Sir.
And all the processes have been put in place. The labor leaders know, and they are now expected to communicate them to their organs so that we don't have any need for a strike.
Sir, sir, is the team, wait, please, is the team, the federal government team, finished all its consultation? Because that was one of the reasons you said that you were consulting. Have you concluded the consultation within the executive arm of government and with governors and the rest?
Both sides are expected to meet again next week, Thursday. But until then, organized labour say all their affiliates will be on strike. NLC and other labour centres are demanding an upward review of the current minimum wage from 18,000 to 56,000. Emmanuel Ejine, PTV News, Abuja.
The Nigerian Labour Congress have given reasons for the call for an indefinite strike action by its members and affiliates. It says it was meant to force the federal government back to the negotiating table after a 14-day ultimatum was ignored.
Every state must answer its name, and therefore they must go back and gather their workers and say they are not ready to pay minimum wage. Because as I said earlier, 21 states have sent in memorandum, and they have quoted figures. So we have followed all justifiable process. In any way, all of us are aware that the problem and challenges of lack of good governance in Nigeria, as I've said, is essentially about corrupt tendencies where public funds are usually diverted. All of us could recall what has happened to the bailouts and even the Paris Club reform. So essentially our challenge in Nigeria is not about lack of resources. It's about prioritizing what is necessary and what we ought to do. And therefore we can also say, and all of us can justify, that our political office holders from councillor to the highest office in a state earn a uniform salary. The issue of ability to pay or the issue of resources have not arisen because of the fact that it is the political class. Once again, we call on all workers in public and private sector of the economy to stay at home until further notice, and let this directive be carried out to the latter, because it's a directive that is coming from all our organs. Any organization, public or private, which forces its workers to risk coming to work during the tendency of this strike will have itself also to blame.
Still on the minimum wage road, the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria has directed its members across the country to shut down all courts and judicial activities from Thursday. This, it says, is in compliance with the nationwide strike declared by the organized labor over a new minimum wage demand. JASU President Marwan Adamu gave the directive on Wednesday morning. Adamu said effective from midnight of Wednesday, all courts in the country must remain closed pending a counter instruction from the National Secretariat of the Union. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says Nigerians have no reason to nurse fears of a fuel shortage over the nationwide strike. This is because it has a 37-day period petrol self-sufficiency to serve the needs of customers across the country. NNPC disclosed this in a statement by its spokesman Ndu Ugamadu in Abuja. He assured Nigerians that all NNPC's depots across the country, including the private ones engaged by corporation, have an abundance of petroleum products. Ugamadu says all NNPC depot managers have been instructed to intensify products loading and other activities in their depots to avert any fallout over NLC's proposed strike. And on Nigeria infrastructure, the Federal Executive Council has approved contracts for provision of power to communities around escarvos in Delta State. It also approved the complete rehabilitation of the Cham Dam in Gombe State. Government officials disclosed this after this week's cabinet meeting in Abuja.
It was business as usual in the council chamber. In spite of President Muhammadu Buhari's absence, FEC gave approval to some projects which had been stalled as far back as 2011. Top among the abandoned projects is the Cham Dam in Gombe State, which was originally constructed in 1982 and stalled in 2011 due to lack of funds.
We brought a request for augmentation of 600 million for that project. The project is being executed by the Upper Benue River Basin Development Authority. The dam was originally constructed in 1982, but it, after some unprecedented rainfall and probably due to inadequate provision of spillway, the dam was breached in around the year about 10 years ago, and therefore it had to be reconstructed, and this is why we came for this augmentation of 612 million to now bring the contract sum to 1.44 billion. The original contract sum was 832 million in 2011. That's about 7 years ago.
Approval was also given for the provision of power to communities around escarvos in Delta State. Before now, over 80 million naira was spent monthly to fuel generators, providing power to several communities.
And today we approached the council to approve $64,235,644 to fund two lots, one for the supply of the power itself, which is building the plant, all the engineering services that are required to do that, and then also distributing the power within the immediate community or series of communities that are affected. The council was gracious enough to approve that.
Earlier, presidential spokesman Garba Shehu had disclosed that the EFCC was given a boost with the approval of about 449 million naira. The fund is meant for the purchase of office equipment and 15 utility vehicles for the anti-graft agency.
Approval for the contract for the provision of facilities maintenance service for their newly, the 10-story building. So they got a contract about 500 million given to Julius Berger for upkeep and maintenance of the place. Is the purchase of 15 utility vehicles. They are expanding and they need a lot more vehicular support for their own operations. All of the vehicles being bought from local assembly, people who assemble vehicles locally in line with the policy of the administration.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo oversaw the session in the absence of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is attending the United Nations General Assembly. Francis Etuko, PTV News, Abuja.
Osun governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Iola Omishore, has directed his supporters to vote for the All Progressive Congress in Thursday's rerun election in Osun State. He said this at a press briefing in Ile-Ife, Osun State. Omishore had been courted by the leaders of APC and People's Democratic Party. Speaking to journalists shortly after meeting APC leaders, the former senator who came third in the main election opted to back the ruling party. The supplementary elections held in the 7 polling units where elections were cancelled. Still on Osun election now, the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Centre, CISLAC, has lent its voice to demand for a credible rerun election in Osun State. It called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that the process is free and fair to all parties. CISLAC Executive Director Anwar Rafsanjani made the call on Wednesday in Abuja. Rafsanjani said the success of Osun election would determine the upcoming 2019 election. He also called on all political parties participating in the poll to shun violence. Ahead of Thursday's rerun, an Osogbo High Court has ordered the police to release the People's Democratic Party chieftain Fatai Diokola and 2 others from detention. The order was given by Justice A.O. Ayola on Wednesday, following an application filed on behalf of the detainees. They were arrested for allegedly attempting to buy a permanent voter's card ahead of the Osun rerun elections. Nigerian women will now have the opportunity to participate in the electoral process across the country. This was after hundreds of women and other gender stakeholders converged in Abuja for a workshop on INEC's role in enhancing women's participation in the electoral process. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu said the gender policy launched in 2014 allows female participation in the electoral process. Emmanuel Bagudu has more.
INEC is keen on implementing the gender policy launched a few years ago, and this workshop is put together to drive home that agenda. So here are gender officers within and outside Nigeria who have converged to chart ways in achieving a gender-balanced leadership in Nigeria.
The fact that when you have a woman in a list, it has to be seen as an element of participation to the power that can improve the quality of the political offer of a certain political party, and not merely a name on a list, because it's nice to have a name on the list. And therefore I am really expecting that during these next 2 days, what we are going to find out together and what we are going to learn from our very high-level speaker that we are going to have in these 2 days is indeed how to make sure that men and women understand that women participation to power is an asset for the whole country, not only for the quality of the democracy, but for the quality of the government and also in general for the well-being of all of us.
Participants in the workshop were drawn from all arms of government involved in gender advocacy.
Nigerian women need to be aggressive in pressing for the implementation of the 3 important gender policies in all electoral process in future: the Nigerian gender policy, political parties gender policy, and INEC gender policy. It is not going to be out of place to suggest that women boycott future elections if the electoral umpire, political parties, and stakeholders in elections fail to implement these 3 policies in future elections. We need to move forward as a nation. We need to adhere strictly to our laws and must be seen to be all-inclusive in our democratic process. We need to also have the courage to do the right thing and give room for equal opportunities for both male and female contestants in elective positions in Nigeria. As clearly seen in other developed countries, the contributions of women to nation building can never be overemphasized. Together, we can move
this country forward. The main objective of this workshop, therefore, is to deepen INEC's role in improving the quality of women's engagement in the political process in general and increasing women's participation in the electoral process in particular. It is also meant to chart the roles of scholars and activists towards strengthening women's participation at the 2019 general elections draw near. One key strategy for achieving this objective is to work with a wide range of stakeholders, including the academia, female politicians, and other female professionals, as well as media activists, in order to provide women with creating platforms. Another objective of this conference is to examine the reasons for the low representation of women in politics and electoral processes and to find ways of addressing them.
INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, represented by its Outreach Committee Chairman Adekunle Ogunmola, gave an insight into the Commission's plans.
One of the key objectives of this conference is also to explore ways of creating bridges between women politicians, scholars, and activists so that synergies can develop in a collective effort to expand inclusivity by deepening the participation of women in the electoral process. Such conversations within the female community of voters is of crucial significance in expanding inclusivity. Forums for sharing experiences and resources can be established. Research and policy briefs in the academia can be leveraged on by both female politicians and civil society activists.
INEC says it is anticipating a huge turnout of women as the build-up to the 2019 general elections gather momentum. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
Some aspirants seeking elective positions on the platform of the All Progressive Congress in Kaduna have rejected indirect primaries. They describe it as a sham process that can easily be manipulated. The aspirants are worried that the party is not learning from its experience in Osun State. Now moving to Benue State, the leadership of the All Progressive Congress in Benue State have been brainstorming over the forthcoming state congress. This was after the party's national leadership released guidelines for the primaries. Our Benue State correspondent Akumi Tav tells us more in this report presented from our studios.
It's the first major gathering of APC leaders since the exit of Governor Otto. Party chairman Abba Yaro assured the members of a level playing field, but he also took pot shots at the governor whom he accused of impunity.
Enough is enough, APC members, stakeholders, leaders of the party. Rise up to the challenge of various local government and stand on your ground. No council chairman and illegal council chairman will enter that council. I am saying this from the bottom of my heart. Honestly speaking, all what you have been doing to our council chairman is not good. Is it a crime to make you governor? Is it a crime to make you governor? It's on accountability, transparency, visibility, all zero. If you chop government money, government go chop you. All zero.
It also presented APC leaders the opportunity to formally receive a former PDP governorship aspirant, Tahemen Tazo.
This is the only party that is going to save Benue State. I tell you this without mincing words, because the propaganda turned out against our people in Benue State is not going to last. It has a time frame, it will fade out. Let us continue to ask questions to sensitize our people. Let us ask what has happened to our bailout. What has happened to the Paris Club 1, 2, 3, and even 4 now.
The governor of Tom is engaging in clear cases of executive lawlessness and irresponsibility. And this is extremely unfortunate because his secretary to state government is an SAN, a professor of law. And here's an attorney general who is the senior lawyer. We want to say loud and clear from the APC that from now on we are going to match every illegality with illegality. Yes, sir. If they think that they are going to go on and harass our chairmen and councillors, we are going to ensure that no federal allocation comes for the local governments from Abuja.
One notable absentee was APC leader in the state, George Akume. He was, however, represented at the meeting by Jacob Tilekiado.
President Buhari is already a president waiting to be sworn in. So we should do everything to get in. We will be making a great mistake if we stay out of the federal government.
The party leaders left meeting convinced that APC has what it takes to reclaim Benue Government House next year.
Civil servants and pensioners in Benue State are not happy that the federal government has withdrawn the final tranche of Pari Club 14.9 billion naira sent to the state. They expressed their thoughts just as Governor Samuel Otom said the federal authorities have no right to do so. The police have arrested a suspected kidnapper who threatened former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to withdraw from the presidential race. The man, identified as Augustus Akpan, had sent text messages threatening to kidnap and kill the politician's wife and daughters. Police spokesman Juma Moshood said the suspect was arrested by operatives of the IGP's intelligence team at a toll gate along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in Lagos State while on the run. He added that Akpan had since confessed the crime and admitted that he resorted to the threat and intimidation after failing to extort money from the former vice president. Moshood said the phone and the SIM card used for the threat were recovered and were discovered to have been robbed from a lady. The police spokesman also said the suspect is fluent in English, Ibibio, Russian and Portuguese languages. Wife of the Nigerian President Aisha Buhari says she has never sent any of her staff to collect any favors on her behalf. She said this in reaction to allegations that she used her aide-de-camp CSP Sani Baba Ina to collect 2.5 billion naira from high-profile Nigerians. Aisha Buhari, however, confirmed that Baba Ina is under police investigation, but expressed surprise in a statement issued on her behalf that he allegedly used her name for suspicious activities. She added that the police arrested her ADC in order to investigate the allegations leveled against him. Aisha also urged anyone who might have given money to Baba Ina to get across to him and retrieve whatever he took from them. She said she will not condone fraudulent behavior by any of her staff. The Nigerian Army is intensifying its search for the missing retired Major General Idris Alkali. The retired general went missing while traveling between Bauchi and Abuja. Army's Director of Foreign Liaison and Defense Intelligence General Austin Agundu gave an insight into the search operation at the closing ceremony of the Chief of Army Staff Quarterly Conference. Emmanuel Bagudu was there and filed in this report.
It's the last day of the Chief of Army Staff Conference. But rather than a funfair, the Army opted to provide an update on the search for General Alkali. It was through a PowerPoint presentation.
That Dr. Idris Ahmed should report back to his handlers and sponsors that he has failed in carrying out their directive.
Alkali is the Army's immediate past Chief of Administration. He was declared missing on September 3 on his way to Bauchi after leaving Abuja in the morning. His disappearance has become a major issue for the Army, which had since sent a search party on his trail.
Our deduction, therefore, that Major General I.M. Alkali would have run into the protesting youth on the 3rd of September into district and within that identified geolocation as recorded by his GSM phone. Various eyewitnesses attested to the fact that they saw a black car that was pushed into a mining pond. It might be instructive to note also that there are about 20 different mining ponds in that locality. We are able to zero in on this particular one due to the discovery of some oil slick on top of the body of water.
The last day of the quarterly conference also featured a special award for the Chief of Army Staff. The army insists it remains resolute on issues of national security, but will also go to great length to protect its own. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has adjourned the trial of a former acting DG of NIMASA, Callistus Obi, over a 136 million naira fraud until September 27th. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission preferred an 8-count charge against Obi, who was a former executive director and later former acting director general, NIMASA. Obi was charged alongside one Alu Dimas, who was an aide to a former director general of NIMASA, Patrick Apobulokemi. The waters released by Cameroonian authorities from Lagdo Dam have not flooded the Benue environs yet, but strange animals have started appearing. 2 strange animals were caught in the river in Benue some few days ago, to the surprise of many people.
September the 25th, 2018 is almost certain to be indelible in the minds of some fishermen operating on the river Benue. This is because of the rare appearance of the African manatees at the Makudi end of the river. The tea people who make up the majority in the state sees the manatees as a sacred animal. It is called Ayu and is believed to provide word for those who keep parts of it, especially the head. Such beliefs have ensured that the manatee is an endangered species, even in its natural habitat.
My name is Yakubu Ibrahim from Benue State. I'm fisherman. This thing is my father's business. My father they do it. Now I go to see 3 months start to do it. This one not me bring am, but now my blood brother bring am. But we said last week I still kill another one for this river. And pieces are inside this my pot. Anybody who like to see am, I go give am. When you see am, when you see the how I take pieces and I share the meat, I sell the meat. So this one is not be anything. I'm blessing of God. Okay. I only know the name. The name when we and they call am Ayu. But I don't know how people they take call am. But our own language, they call am Ayu. This one where you see here, now man and woman they here. Man and woman? Yes. Now who can come here? Now my brother where he carry from where? From Bayelsa. To this place? To this place. Okay. How did they carry him? Moto. Yes. Life.
Only few of them remain in their natural habitat along the Benue part of the river.
My own problem that I need to person where you they come buy them all. Now if another person where you want to get them all to come buy them, I'm ready to sell them for them. How much you want to sell them? And you know, na part of how they market it.
Okay, what is your initial amount?
So for my own now, I need in my own place. You know, say any person they get how you they sell it. For my own, I go fit try to collect any one each one. I'll fit collect 500, 400. Do you understand?
Naira be 400.
400,000.
Please, what is the reason that you brought them here? Is it to come and sell, or you want people to know?
The reason I come here to sell. Understand, but now I'm saying another people the price, but they no reach. Now I like this.
The manatee is a mama and part of the rich biodiversity of the state, and there's already a campaign to ensure that these ones return to their natural habitat and compensation for the fishermen.
And in Anambra, a 9-year-old girl is the latest casualty of flooding after she was killed while fetching water in Anambra State. The minor, according to her father Izuchukwu Uzo, was swept away by flood water as she attempted to fetch water. The victim's sister was said to have almost lost her life as she made attempt to rescue her little sister during the incident. Chairman of Obaru local council, Arinze Awogu, who confirmed the incident, said the death of the 9-year-old girl brings to 2 the number of lives lost in the latest flooding incidents. And now to Nigeria economy, a total of 172.196 million shares valued at 2 0.5 billion naira were traded at 2,866 deals on the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday. These were against 222.956 million shares worth billions traded in 3,327 deals on Tuesday. The market capitalization depreciated by 55 billion naira or 0.45% to close at 12.034 trillion naira from 12.89 trillion naira recorded on Tuesday. Similarly, the all-share index, which opened at 33,114.44, lost 151.17 basis points to close at 32,963.27. Dangote Cement led the price losers chart with a loss of 5 naira to close at 205 naira, while Badger and Stanbic IBTC followed, depreciating by 70 kobo each to close at 6.3 naira and 43.30 naira per share, respectively. And still on Nigeria economy, the naira on Wednesday depreciated marginally against the dollar at the investors' window, trading at 364 naira, weaker than the 363.72 posted on Tuesday. Market turnovers, while it traded at 306.35 to the dollar at the official CBN window. At the parallel market, the naira closed at 359.5 naira to the dollar, while the pound sterling and the euro closed at 482 and 421 naira. Trading at the Bureau de Change window saw the naira close at 360 naira to the dollar, while the pound sterling and the euro closed at 482 naira and 421 naira. The Nigerian currency remained stable at the capital, largely due to a series of interventions by the CBN. You're watching PTV Tonight. Keep up with the news by downloading our app PTV Nigeria on Android and iOS. You can also watch us on www.ptvng.com/live. Follow us on People's TV on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Still to come, outrage in South Africa over alleged rape of 7-year-old girl. Don't go anywhere.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
People's Television Nigeria has gone mobile. You can now watch PTV Nigeria on the go anywhere in the world. For real-time notifications, just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android or Apple Store if you're on iOS. Search for PTV Nigeria. Download. It's free. It's easy. And now you can catch up with the latest news analysis and political discourse on the go. So stay connected with PTV, Nigeria's #1 online TV.
You're welcome back. South Africans have expressed outrage following the alleged rape of a 7-year-old girl in a restaurant toilet. Police said a 20-year-old man allegedly followed her into the women's restroom before snatching her and raping her in the men's section. The suspect was arrested at the scene and charged with rape and possession of drugs. He has been remanded in custody and has not yet been asked to plead. South Africa has one of the highest incidents of rape in the world. And in Morocco, a Moroccan woman has died and 3 other people were left wounded after the country's navy opened fire at a speedboat carrying people. The Moroccan Interior Minister said in a statement that a naval unit operating in the Mediterranean fired on the boat because its Spanish driver refused to obey orders. The woman who succumbed to her injuries in the hospital was a 22-year-old lady, and the 3 wounded were also Moroccans. The Spanish diver of the boat was unharmed but has since been arrested. The police force in the southern Mexico Acapulco City has been disarmed and placed under investigation on suspicions of ties to organized crime. Mexico's military arrested 3 top police officers in a massive ground and air operation around the Pacific Coast City's police headquarters. A security spokesman said 2 police commanders were arrested on murder charges and the highway police chief for carrying unlicensed weapons. He added that Municipal Security Secretary Max Lorenzo Sedano and his entire department are under investigation. The State Security Ministry announced it would take over policing duties in Acapulco indefinitely. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged other members of the UN Security Council to work with America to ensure Iran never acquires a nuclear bomb. He told the Council that anyone who failed to comply with U.S. sanctions on Iran would face severe consequences. America is reimposing sanctions after pulling out of an international deal on Iran's nuclear program. French President Emmanuel Macron, who still backed the 2015 deal, called for a long-term strategy. And finally, on sports, Robert Morge's 21st Century Fox has agreed to sell its 39% stake in Sky to Comsat. It means the U.S. cable and media giant now has full control of the British television giant. The move comes days after Comsat made a successful bid of £30.6 billion for a controlling stake in Sky. Fox, which is in the process of selling key media entertainment assets to Walt Disney, said in a statement that Disney had agreed to the sale of the stake worth an estimated $15 billion. The agreement ends a long-running battle for the control of Sky by Murdoch in the face of resistance by British regulators and firms up the new landscape in the sector, with Comsat in control of Sky and Disney set to expand its footprint to television and film assets from Fox. And in the world of sport, Nigeria's women's basketball team, the Tigress, have qualified for the quarter-final stage of ongoing FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup in Spain. This was after winning their 3rd game in a row by the slimmest of margins. The Tigress got among the last 8 teams with a 57-56 win over Greece on Wednesday in Spain. The women had earlier secured back-to-back wins against Turkey and Argentina and almost gotten stuck against the Greeks. Both teams were tied in the first quarter, but the Nigerians won the second and third before Greece made a strong comeback in the final quarter. The Nigerians, however, held on to win 57-56. The Nigerian women's basketball team now face the tournament top dogs, the United States, in the quarterfinal. And that's all on the news tonight. Many thanks for watching. But before we go, we'll leave you with more sports stories from Daniel Nwaboso. I am Lilian Ogazi. Do stay on PTV.
Hello and welcome to PTV Sports Desk. I am Daniel Nwaboso. Mauricio Pochettino is confident that Tottenham will be playing in the new stadium by the end of the year. He also said there will be no excuses for not winning trophies once the move is completed. Spurs were supposed to be in their 62,000-seater arena from the middle of this month, but failures to critical safety system meant their move was delayed. They have, however, yet to announce a new date. Work is still going on at the site of their White Hart Lane Stadium, and manager Pochettino is hoping for an early Christmas present after recently discussing the topic with chairman Daniel Levy. Over now to tennis, where Great Britain and Argentina have been awarded wild cards for next year's revamped Davis Cup. Great Britain, who won the Davis Cup in 2015, beat Uzbekistan in September to ensure they would be seeded in qualifying for the next event. But they will now bypass the stage altogether with the wild card. Captain Leon Smith's team are now guaranteed a place among the 18 teams which will compete for the title next November. Still on tennis now, the Murray reached the second round of the Shenzhen Open after Chinese Zheng Zhang retired. Former world number 1 Murray led 6-3, 6-7, 4-2 when Zhang, a wild card at the event in China, ended the match. The Briton, now ranked 311th as he continues his comeback from hip surgery, saved 8 break points as he was given a stern test by the world number 340. He will face Belgian top seed and world number 11 David Goffin next. Murray, a wild card in Shenzhen, is appearing in his penultimate event of the year after deciding to end his season early. He was played just 10 matches this year after returning to the ATP Tour in June. Against Zhang, he hit 9 aces and won 69% of points on his first serve, but converted just 4 of a possible 9 break points. Elsewhere, Britain's Cameron Norrie reached the second round of the doubles event with American partner Dennis Kudla a day after he progressed in the singles draw. Rory McIlroy says it will be silly for Europe's Ryder Cup team to focus on players who, when it comes to the threat posed by America's Tiger Woods. This was after Woods claimed a first win in 5 years at the Tour Championship in Atlanta last weekend. Woods was a wildcard picked off United States cap Jim Furyk, having shown a return to form following back surgery and personal problems. He is on the playing side for the first time since 2012, having been a vice captain in 2006 and asked to do so again this year, but has only been part of one victorious Ryder Cup team from 7 appearances. The 42-year-old has a record of 13 wins, 17 draws and 3 halves in the biennial competition, which is taking place at Le Golf National near Paris in France from 28th to 30th of September. That's all we have on PTV Sports Desk. I'm Daniel Mwaboso.
As usual, I am excited today. AY has done a whole lot for people. I'm not just his baby mama, I am his manager. And we all know that Wizkid had he had numbers of baby mamas. And
he said you don't need some leaders of the National Assembly.
The worst form of democracy is said to be better than the best form of military regime.
We are trying to build political blocks.
Just days after he defected from your party, I believe the politics taken too far.
Members of the new board of Police Service Commission.
You know, the thoughts of the fact that his seat should be declared vacant because we have some states that have experienced, some level of insecurity.
The headship or the leadership of the Senate or the House of Representatives.
But I have gone beyond that now, beyond partisanship.
I don't think a lot of you know the crisis in the embassy.
We know that the people of the country are getting more information about what is happening to us.
With what you know about the person, you can go ask yourself.
But one of the things I've come to observe is that
I'm Agbero. That made me like this Agbero.
He don't need PVC. He don't need PVC. I was trying to convince him.
News emerged that Jones Abiri, a Bielsa-based journalist, is out on bail.
And there's nothing, of course, that makes them to have this guy.
As a citizen, first of all,
Every citizen has the right. What is happening in the society, what is happening everywhere around him.
From that day, Saraki knew that he was a madman with APC.
He should ask his people who leaked the information. That is his business.
This is not the first time JSS was taking over the National Assembly.
It may be extremely very difficult to remove a Senate president.
But the question is the viability of most of these 91 political parties.
Of course, you can't prosecute without investigation.
It will be easier for you to have those people with the like minds to join you.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have
said there had hardly been any administration.
no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is